What's up, everyone? Today I'll be going over, a collab that I would love to happen with Honkai Star Rail and Fate Grand Order. Now, previously in February and March, there was some inklings that, oh my god, maybe this collab's gonna happen, this collab's gonna happen. It turned out just to be an interview, but we'll get into that. I'm gonna go in depth with the characters' kits that I would like to see. We're gonna do some theory crafting, and I would like for you to comment on the video and come up with your own theories. Let's get into it. In this theory crafting, I will be giving you kits of the characters in this imaginary collab, their element, skill, ultimate, and their class. I won't be doing talents and going in depth and percentages and stuff like that just because I don't feel like doing that. And that stuff is not fun to me. I just want to give a basis for community conversation and to get my gears flowing and everyone else's into saying, maybe this would be a good idea. Could this happen? Let's pressure the companies, let's add some sort of pressure onto them to be like, man, we could make some money with this. Let's go ahead and do it. So those are the basis of the upcoming pictures and content. First and foremost, drum roll please, we have Altria Pendragon, Altoria Pendragon, otherwise known as Saber in the Fate series. She is the Fate series poster child, absolute most popular character no matter what, shown in everything, remade into other characters. Her face is all over everything. Continuity gets confusing. She's a rider, she's a saber. She's a queen, she's a king. You never really know. But let's get into what I wrote here currently. Her path would be destruction. I said that because in the Fate Grand Order game, she's mostly just a DPS unit used for her AoE ultimate and Saber class advantage against Lancer. Right here, I said that her element could be imaginary or physical. Physical because, she's a sword unit. She's a knight of the Round Table, King Arthur. I was leaning towards imaginary as well because it's the Holy Sword Excalibur, so maybe she can deal like holy damage or light damage, which I would construe as imaginary in this game. I also put wind there as a stretch for some conversation just because when she is originally summoned in every show or innovation of her sword is concealed in some sort of wind concealing magic. So I'm like, maybe she has some sort of wind element. You never know. Now her ultimate, Excalibur, of course. She'll pop her ult, which is known as her Noble Phantasm, and it won't be single target, it'll be AoE. It could be multi-hit, but I'm thinking it might just be one giant hit on all of the enemies and scale based on some crit damage. So maybe you would build her for a crit and try to get hard ult hits. Now for her skill, I was kind of reaching here. I said Excalibur Awaken. This goes into what I was saying earlier, where when she is always first summoned, she has her sword concealed. She doesn't want anyone to know who she is. She wants to have the advantage of the anonymity and no one knowing what her Noble Phantasm, otherwise known as her ultimate, or her class advantage could be. You don't know if she has a polearm, a spear, maybe even a bow. You never know. So with that being said, they could do her model as her first stage ascension in Fate Grand Order, where she's standing, her sword is concealed by wind. Then when she uses her skill, Excalibur Awaken, boom, the sword lights up, it shows Excalibur, she gains an attack up, and it changes her base skill, her normal attack, to some sort of different attack, like Blade. That's what I kind of leaned against when I was building her kit right here. I kind of based it off of Blade. He uses his skill, gets instant turn rate, of course, and then uses his normal skill for a couple of turns, and it's a changed HP attack. I think that would be super dope. She's basically just a destruction DPS unit. Not much else she can do. Maybe some self-sustain in there. But the skills in FGO are just based on either party buffs or self-sustain, like giving yourself attack up or some crit stars, which doesn't apply to Honkai Star Rail. Now, for our second character, drum roll please, Emiya Archer. Now, this is another extremely popular character in the Fate series. He, I would say, is arguably the main character of the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works series. Now, one thing to note. Oh, I forgot to say this. Ultra Pendragon, she would be a 5-star unit, for sure. Emiya in FGO is actually a 4-star unit. He's not a 5-star unit. He's not the highest tier class that you can get. So, what I would suggest is, for this, he would be either a character, a 4-star unit that you get for completing some sort of event that comes along with the collaboration. Maybe you go through some stages, you do some sort of, I don't know, trans-dimensional loop, and you get sucked into their world, and then you fight him, and then you gain him as a character. You know what I mean? Basically a free character for the event, which is what gacha games usually do. They give you a free 4-star for that event-specific character. Then you can pull for the 5-star characters. So he could be a 5-star, or 4-star, I mean, be given for free, or he could be a 4-star on the possible banner for the 5-star character that would be released with the collab. Or it could just be a 5-star on a separate banner. You could pick which banner you pulled. Resources are scarce in HSR, so I don't think that would be the possibility. I think him being a 4-star and being either given to you for free or being a unit pullable from the actual 5-star banner makes a lot more sense. It's more probable. But let's get into his kit. I think he would be the hunt path for sure. He's more of a speed character. He's an archer, actually. His class is an archer in the show, in the game. So I think he would focus on speed. The hunt is really speed-oriented, single target DPS. Maybe he, for sure, be physical element. I don't think he has any other element based into his kit in the game. It's just physical damage. Now, his ultimate would be one of the coolest Noble Phantasms I've ever seen. Unlimited Blade Works. It is a Noble Phantasm, or otherwise an ultimate. Noble Phantasm is just another word for ultimate in this series. Unlimited Blade Works is a reality marble where you go into his field, which is just this reality space that he created on his reality, and there's swords everywhere. He then proceeds to absolutely annihilate you with infinite amounts of swords that he's created, because that's what Emiya does. He forges swords, forges weapons, those daggers, the yin and yang that he has in his hand, he's forged himself. He's not a swordsman, he's not an assassin, he's an archer. His bow is his main source, which goes into his skill, and my big ol' head's actually in the way. Skill could be traced on. In the show, the character Emiya, Shiro Emiya, I don't want to get into all the continuity of that, because we'll be here for hours. His skill, or his magecraft, is trace on. He says that he learns the molecular substance in the makeup of certain items that he touches. There's these blue lines that go all the way through it. It's kind of like he's just analyzing the entire thing, getting the makeup of it, and able to create something. It's always going to be a copy, so it's not going to be better than the original, but this skill could, one, change or alter his appearance. It could do blue lines throughout his entire body, like in the show. Or it could give him, and it could give him an attack buff, give the party an attack buff for a certain amount of turns, maybe defense buff. He uses Trace on when he's trying to strengthen things. He's trying to use things for attack, maybe for defense as well. So I think that's where, if he uses his skill, it could give the party an attack-wide buff, which adds some sustain to the 4-star character and makes him not just a DPS, but also someone that can provide a party-wide buff, which is crazy. It would add so much viability to a possible 4-star unit. All right, now we're going to go into our third, which is someone who would be a 5-star and would be more than likely in the game. I base these off of popularity. You're not going to have characters join a collab for a game that no one knows who they are. Because why would they pull them? I have favorite characters that are kind of obscure in here, so I couldn't even put them in here. So I'm like, damn, I can't do Senji Muramasa because I'm telling you that. Do you know who he is unless you play Fate? No, if you're coming from Honkai, you have no idea who he is. I didn't even know who Senji was until I started playing Fate again and saw him as a playable unit and was like, this guy is crazy. But enough yapping. Drum roll, please. Our third unit and possible 5-star will be Gilgamesh, the King of Kings, the #1 hero, the king to rule them all. He is absolutely one of the most popular and overpowered characters in the Fate franchise. He would 100,000,000% be a 5-star pickup unit. I think that banner would go crazy. I would rather probably have Gilgamesh than Saber, who is Ultra Pendragon, by the way. Sorry if I'm using her Saber name, but they call her Saber throughout the show, so that's what I'm just used to calling her. His kit would be, I guess, Destruction. All of these characters would more than likely be DPS units. I didn't pick any that could possibly be Sustain. I want to leave that to you. Comment on the video. Give me kits and characters who could be Sustain units. Because for this pickup, you have to have some viability, sustain, healing, buffs, something of that to make these units not get power crept immediately. Yeah, it's a collab. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it may never happen. Yeah, it may never happen again if it does happen. But the units have to actually be viable and usable for people to really, really, really want them and to actually be able to use them in content, not just in the event, but moving forwards. Because if they're just immediately power crept, then maybe when an event comes on in the future, everyone's gonna be like, dude, these units suck anyways. I'm just gonna waste my Stellar Jade, which I have almost none of anyways, and not even be able to use the units in the future. I think Gilgamesh would be imaginary element just based on his, I mean, he's almost like some holy divinity. He's almost like a god. He is a demigod in the lore, but he's so crazy. And he has gold all around him. It just reflects the imaginary kind of yellow aspect, you know, the motto. His ultimate would for sure be Enuma Elish, opening up the gates of Babylon, getting his ultimate treasure in just AoE nuking the entire enemy team. He would probably be a crit rate, crit damage type build. I can see him hitting multiple times and needing crit rate to maximize his potential. I see him hitting, like I just said, multiple times because going into his skill, Gate of Babylon or Gates of Babylon. In the show and in the game, he has these little portals or gates that show up around him. He shoots weapons out of them, spears, swords, what have you, because he is the #1 collector in all of history. He has every noble phantasm, every weapon, anything you can ever imagine. He is literally God on heaven on earth. So he would shoot chains, which is what he uses a lot, chains or swords or pole arms or spears out of these gates and hit multiple times, which would mean you would need crit rate so that you could maximize the damage potential in each hit, which would in turn also want to maximize your crit damage so that you could, every time you crit, boom, pop, like 175%, 200% crit damage, boom, boom, pop, 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 pop. He would be a DPS unit through and through. And I think, man, just seeing these characters' artwork and how they would be portrayed in a Honkai Star Rail game gives me goosebumps. It literally gives me goosebumps because that's what I want for FGO in itself. Fate Grand Order, it's like 9 years old. It's way dated. I'm not going to go too far into this because I want to save that maybe for another video if this is received well. But I feel like they could make a FGO 2 or some other turn-based game that could really just absolutely nuke the gacha space and just revolutionize everything. It could be the best of Honkai Star Rail and all these other gachas, incorporate elements into it, but make it with the Fate series characters that everyone loves. It would be a gajillion dollar gacha right then and right there. I guarantee you. Now, for the last character, character 4, I picked a character that I would want. It is a 5-star character, but I also kept it within the bounds of reality, and it's not some obscure character, which sucks because I would have put many other characters before this one because I like them more. But he is popular. He is known throughout the series. He has a main role in the series. The last character that I'll be showing, my personal pick, drum roll please, is Iskandar, or Alexander the Great. I love this character in the show, and I love Alexander the Great in real history. He's an insane king who almost conquered all of Europe. That's insane. No one will live up to his mantle ever. He was literally like do or die, and he died doing, quite literally, exhaustion from fevers and all that crap. Whew. So I would say Iskandar, or Alexander the Great, would be Destruction Path. He would be physical or quantum. I put quantum in there because his ultimate is a reality marble, so he does bend space and time to create his own reality and manifest it in physical space. So it could be that. I also didn't want to put all these characters as physical. It'll be kind of boring and not imaginative at all. All right. Now, before I butcher his ultimate, beware. I might butcher it. His ultimate, Ianyoi Hitairoi, or Hitairoi. I tried to Google it, and I totally forgot what it said. This would be an awesome ultimate. His Noble Phantasm, he summons a reality marble, and every single soldier who has ever fought under him comes back and literally wages war with whoever you're attacking. That would be pure insanity. I know HSR's ultimates aren't that long or too cinematic. You could maybe sum this up kind of quickly, but it would be so cool to have Alexander the Great's army literally get summoned and just AoE nuke everyone. His skill, since he is a rider class in FGO, I kind of had trouble with this. War Chariot, his special ability is he summons a horse, and it's in this giant war chariot. Like, he literally rides around and summons lightning and just absolutely stomps shit with it. It would be dope. Maybe that could be his skill. Maybe he's actually like his model in FGO. It is on his horse while in the actual game. Like, that's just how he is. I know it might be too tall for the actual aspect ratio or zoomed in for the characters and how they have the camera behind them in HSR. That's just an idea. All right. That's about all I had for the characters. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please comment below. Who would you like to see in the game? What FGO servant? Go ahead, comment their kits. I want to hear some sustain. I want to hear some harmony. I want to hear some healers. What collab would you like to see with Honkai Star Rail? If there's any collab in the world with gacha games, series, or whatever, so have it, what would you like to see? And finally, like and comment if you enjoyed the channel. I'll admit it has been struggling pretty bad lately, and your likes and comments really do go a long way. If you just like and comment, it will throw the video throughout YouTube's algorithm and hopefully show up to more people. Now, without further ado, that's it. Peace.